Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. I will cam up in a little bit. Just gonna see who all pops up in here. So far, nobody. Today's topic: Mexico's 2020. Excuse me, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. I'm also kind of eating in the background. Sorry about that. Being a little energy. Today's show is Mexico's 2025 travel rules. Yeah, just want to make sure that we are all set because I've been getting a lot of questions about what are the travel rules for Mexico. We are going to get a special guest today, Aaron. He's going to join me. Aaron, whenever you want to pop up, let me know. Feel free just to pop up. Aaron is a dual U.S. Mexican citizen, and we're going to talk a little bit about that process and that process that he went through to become that. And also he's working on his residency for Paraguay, which I may be doing as well. But there has been some issues involving the whole getting the how to get into Mexico and stuff like that. So we're just going to clarify that. So I'll start off with this video and we will take it from there. So without further ado, let's pay attention to this video. This is from iVisa. I also left some links in the bottom of the description for you guys for informational purposes. So let's get started.
Hello and welcome to iVisa, your one-stop shop for your travel needs. In this video, we're going to show you how easy it is to apply for a Mexico visa with guided visas. Mexico is a great destination, so it's no wonder that many travelers want to visit this incredible country. But before you pack your bags and book your flight, you need to make sure that you have the right visa to enter Mexico. So depending on your nationality and purpose of visit, you may or may not need a visa to enter Mexico as a tourist. If you're a citizen of one of the 69 countries that have a visa exemption agreement with Mexico, you can enter Mexico without a visa for up to 180 days.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize the mic was off. We are one of those 69 countries. However, if you are traveling by air, you have to fill out a FMM. I threw the link for that in the description box. An FMM form, you're going to have to fill that if you're traveling by land. That means you're crossing over the U.S.-Mexican border. But I'm also hearing that you're going to have to fill that out if you're traveling to certain cities in Mexico. And that form will be given out to you when you're either there or you are on the aircraft. So be sure you bring yourself a working pen with you to fill that form out. So let's continue.
Check the list of visa exempt countries on our visa checker tool. I'll leave the link in the description box below. However, if you're a citizen of a country that does not have a visa exemption agreement with Mexico, or if you want to stay in Mexico for more than 180 days, or engage in activities that require a specific visa, such as work, study, or research, then you will need to apply for a visa before you arrive in Mexico. To apply for a visa, you need to meet certain requirements and provide some documents. You need to prove that you have a valid passport, have a return ticket, are in good health and of good character, have enough funds to support yourself during your stay, and have a clear purpose of visit. You also need to provide a visa application form, 2 passport-sized photos, a travel itinerary, a hotel reservation, and other documents depending on the type of visa you're applying for. Now, I will say this sounds a little bit complicated, but don't worry, we have a solution for you. With guided visas, you can apply for your Mexico visa online in just a few minutes. All you need to do is fill out a simple application form on our website, upload your documents, and pay the visa fee with a credit card. We'll take care of the rest. We'll review your application and make sure it meets all the criteria and standards of the Mexican immigration authorities. We'll also advise you on any additional steps or documents you may need to complete the application. And then we'll submit your application on your behalf and keep you updated on the status of your visa. Once it's approved, we'll notify you via email. But how is a guided visa different from a self-application? Well, here are some of the benefits of choosing iVisa. Our online form is 50% shorter than the government platforms and much.
Let me give you guys advice on that. If you are going to do anything as far as getting visas, getting residency permits, I highly recommend getting one of those attorneys or some of these consultants like I did with my residency permit. It's worth the money because these forms are complicated. So getting services like iVisa or getting these relocation services, do get them. It will save you a lot of time and a lot of headache and a lot of money. Trust me, it gets very confusing doing these documentations. It really do. It really does. So please use those services.
Easier to fill out. You can fill out our form at your own pace, you can save your progress, go back to your answers, and review the final application before submitting it. These features, as simple as they sound, are not available on the government website. Our team of immigration experts will review your application before submitting it to the government, ensuring that it's 100% compliant and error-free. You will get an iVisa expert or concierge assigned to you to guide you through every step of the application process and answer any questions you may have along the way. Once you apply with iVisa, we'll give you a manual with all the tips and information you need to know to answer the difficult sections when you have the face-to-face interview and complete the required steps to get your visa without any problems. Now let's talk about some of the do's and don'ts when applying for your Mexico visa, whether you're applying through a guided visa or doing the process yourself. You will apply for your visa at least 15 days in advance of your planned travel date so that there is enough time for the application procedure to be completed on time.
I say longer, do that a month in advance. Don't do it in 15 days. Do it a month in advance because you don't know how many people, it's probably overload these, how many people are traveling down there and how overloaded they are. So do yourself a favor, do it a month in advance, at least minimum.
Especially if you're doing it on your own. Do fill up your visa application form carefully with all the accurate details. Do tell Immigration Mexico about any offenses you've been charged with, convicted of, or served time in prison for. Do get travel insurance that covers medical expenses and repatriation costs. Do provide evidence that you can leave Mexico, such as enough funds to purchase a return ticket. Don't overstay your visa. You must leave Mexico on or before the date your visa expires. Don't work or study on a tourist visa unless it is explicitly authorized. You can only engage in activities related.
Be surprised how many people overstay their visas and they're getting deported back to the United States. Trust me, it's a lot. So keep that in mind. Yo, Big Mike, what's going on, baby? I'm working on getting my Chilean citizenship. I'm married to, oh, sweet. You got to get on the show, man. We got to talk about that, bro. One day I got to get you on, bro, so we can talk about that.
To tourism. Don't lie or provide false information on your application. This could result in your visa obviously being denied or canceled. With guided visas, you can save time, money, and hassle. You don't need to visit an embassy or a consulate or deal with complex paperwork. You can apply from anywhere in the world at any time of the day or night. You can also enjoy our 24/7 customer support and our almost 100% approval guarantee. And if you're looking for some hidden gems to visit in Mexico, we have some suggestions for you. Here are some of the most amazing places that you may not have heard of but are definitely worth a visit. Rio Secreto. This is a natural underground river that flows through a network of caves and caverns. You can explore this wonderland by walking, swimming, and rappelling with a guide. You will.
I'm going to that. I'm definitely got that on my list. Yeah, dog, definitely. Once you complete that, I want to get more information on getting the residency portion of that. If you can give me some info on that. Yeah, I just want to get the information on residency. You can also talk to us about the citizenship portion, not just for the looking of the wife, but also the residency card, citizenship, How do we go about it, cost, all that other stuff. We want to give me all that info if you can, bro.
See stunning rock formations, crystal clear pools, and colorful stalactites and stalagmites. Cancun Underwater Museum. This is a unique museum that showcases more than 500 sculptures submerged in the Caribbean Sea. You can admire these artworks by snorkeling, diving, or taking a glass bottom boat. The sculptures are made of eco-friendly materials and serve as artificial reefs for marine life. Yet
I will be taking swimming lessons because I will be doing that as well.
El Agua. This is a natural rock formation that looks like a frozen waterfall. It is actually a mineral deposit created by water that flows from natural springs. You can swim in the pools at the top of the cliffs and enjoy the panoramic view of the valley. Cenote Oxman. This is a beautiful cenote that is located inside an old hacienda. A cenote is a natural sinkhole filled with fresh water. You can access this cenote by a wooden staircase or by jumping from a rope swing. The water is clear and refreshing and surrounded by lush vegetation. Laguna de Bacalar. This is a stunning lake that has 7 shades of blue. It's also known as the Lagoon of 7 Colors. You can swim, kayak, sail, or paddleboard on this lake and admire its natural beauty. You can also visit the nearby font of San Felipe, which was built to protect the town from pirates. Tamasopo Waterfalls. These are gorgeous waterfalls that are located in the Huasteca Potosina region. They have different heights and shapes and create natural pools where you can swim and relax. The waterfalls are surrounded by tropical forests and offer a scenic escape from the city. Palenque Mayan Ruins. These are ancient ruins that date back to the 7th century AD. They are part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most impressive examples of Mayan architecture and art. You can see temples, palaces, sculptures, and hieroglyphs that reveal the history and culture of this civilization. Guanajuato City. This is a colorful city that is famous for its colonial buildings, narrow alleys, and underground tunnels. It is also known for its cultural and artistic heritage, as it was the birthplace of muralist Diego Rivera and hosts an annual international arts festival. You can visit museums, churches, theaters, and markets in this vibrant city. Now, these are just some of the hidden gems that you can discover in Mexico with iVisa guided visas. There are many more waiting for you to explore them. So what are you waiting for? Apply for your Mexico visa with guided visas today and get ready to explore this amazing country. Whether you want to see the ancient pyramids, the colorful cities, or the stunning beaches, Mexico has something for everyone. To start your application, simply click on the link below this video, download the iVisa app, or visit ivisa.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos on how to travel the world with iVisa. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Safe travels.
Yeah, I will be doing another video using their stuff because they got some other additional information about some visa stuff. I'm definitely going to be looking into their services because I just found out some interesting stuff. So I am going to cam up. Hold a second. Okay. I'm going to cam up and I'm going to bring in, see, Aaron, you there? It's our special guest, the Hispanic expat. Aaron, you're having issues with your Aaron, if you can hear me, just come on back. Just I'm gonna drop you, but come on back and redo this because you're not coming in through very well. So just try to get on back because Yeah, Aaron, just redo the link and try to get on back because there's a problem going on. But anyway, where's the other video? While Aaron's doing that, let me pull the other video up. Well, actually, what I'll do is this. Instead of the video, let me pull this up. Okay, hopefully this will work. Aaron, it's not working. We're getting that little circle. Something's not working, Aaron. Yeah. Let me just share this with you guys. Over at the, I threw the link in the description. This is the guidelines for those who want to get into Mexico. You necessarily, basically, we're all from the United States. You don't need a visa to get in unless you're staying more than 180 days or you're doing any work or any business. That's when you need a visa. So pretty much you guys are, if you just going there to vacation, less than 180 days. I don't know. Wait, hold up. We may have got something. Can you hear me, Aaron? Aaron? Aaron, something's going on with your device. Yeah, something's going on with your device, dude. But anyway, you basically don't need to have a visa going to Mexico because that was been a bit confusion. It has nothing to do with what's going on with the terrorists and stuff like that. You guys are good to go as long as you got your passport. Just make sure that you got at least 6 months left on your passport. That's been an issue where a lot of people are getting, denied entry. Um, if you're coming down to like 6 months left on your passport, do yourself a favor. Don't travel. Just get a new passport. You know, because it's not a big thing, and you guys got to rush to go and get yourself a pass. Got to go on these trips and stuff like that. Just go get a new passport. Monitor that stuff. Monitor the date of expiration and stuff like that. Take the time. Make sure you're organized to get that, passport and stuff like that. All that stuff taken care of, and you don't get jammed up on your vacation. But again, these are the requirements that you guys need, and there's really no extra requirements you guys really need. Just a valid passport. Like for example, when I went down to I flew into Mexico City, and basically it's gonna be a breeze. You're gonna walk in, and they're gonna guide you to the machines where the turnstiles are at. You're just gonna just put your passport against the screen, and it's gonna let you go through the turnstile. That's it. Now, I will say this for those who are getting their residency permit cards like I've gotten, do not go through the turnstile. There's going to be a desk off on your side next to those turnstiles. Go to him and show him the visa, the resident visa um, that's on your passport that they gave you from the consulate. Show him that and let him do all the paperwork that he has to do. Then he'll just say, yeah, just go. You won't go through the turnstile. You'll just go off to the side where he's at, and then you're in Mexico. Okay. Um, do it that way. As far as the other visas, I'm not sure how the process is, but You just ask if you got any specialized visas and stuff like that. Ask, so that way you're going through the proper procedures and stuff. And for those with those resident visas who's there trying to get the card, it is important, and let me stress this: it is important that you stop at that desk and he does that paperwork on, signs off on that visa. Because if he doesn't do that, when you go to immigration office to do the stuff, they will not give you the card. When you get in that airport, soon as you land, you have to hit that desk. So that way they can take care of the paperwork. Aaron, I'm hoping you can get in this. Aaron, I guess the Hispanic expat is trying to get on. There's something going on with your Wi-Fi, dude. I don't know what it is. Yeah, just keep trying. Or if you can get to a computer, Aaron. Basically, it's showing up, but it's not kicking in. You're not linking. You're showing up, but you're not linking. We're not seeing you, Aaron. Aaron's our guest. We're supposed to be doing. But anyway, while he's doing that, we are going to get to our next video. If you just give me a second here, I'm gonna pull that second video up.
September of last year,
Yeah, this is a story on Mexico and how to move in Mexico, move around, because there's been some issues in Mexico. So this is very, very important. I will say this: when I was there, I didn't have any issues. Actually, the people was like super, super friendly. I stayed in Polanco, which is one of the richest areas in Mexico City. Had a wonderful time. It was very safe. I didn't travel out at night because nighttime, basically, I was did my lies, and the first night I got out when I landed, I got there late, so I just had enough time to go grab something to eat. Then I jumped on somebody's live, talked a little bit, and then I went to sleep. Second night I was just chilling, did a live, showed my place. But I will say that when it comes to accommodating foreigners, Mexicans were extremely hospitable. Very, very hospitable. I mean, the hospitality was just off the chain. The best. There you go.
Hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Sorry about that, man.
Yeah.
I had to switch to my phone. So
About the audio.
actually, give me a second. Hold on. I can still hear you though.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the audio. Getting some feedback. It's basically coming to your echo cancel. Well, put some headphones on.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and. Are you getting some feedback?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Let me go ahead and.
I can hear my voice.
Okay. Give me a second.
Sorry for this.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay, that fixed it.
Yeah. I was gonna have you connected with the mic, but I went ahead. I'll turn on my camera just now. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
kind of position it. Yeah, I tried to, but Yeah. Sometimes it's. I know I need to get a new MacBook at some point. I really do.
Yeah,
I really do. I've had this one for about
forever
7
and a day.
years. Uh, for in dinosaur years, yeah, about 7. So yeah, let's see.
No worries.
I think this is gonna work out in the end. Let's see. Give me. Ready to connect.
So while you're doing that, I'll introduce you, everybody. This is Aaron, the Hispanic expat. He is Mexican American. He has his own YouTube channel, and he talks a lot about. Matter of fact, he was the gentleman that I had on a couple weeks ago. I did a video on him, um, talking about dual citizenship, and he's going to talk a little bit about the process with um, Paraguay.
Let's see.
There you go.
I'm gonna try to put it sideways here, so you're gonna see me flip around. There we go.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's cool.
All right. I think I got it. Yeah, my mic. Sorry, not my mic. My Mac was not
Hmm.
working the most or the best. Ready to connect. Let's turn this off right here. I
There
think
we go.
we should be good. I don't want to mess
There
this
we go.
around too much. All right,
That's cool.
good.
Yeah. So, already talked about getting the what visas need to be gotten to go into Mexico. Anything you want to add to the whole Mexico thing?
Yeah, I was actually as I was so anyways, before I even share how you guys, my name is Aaron. I'm the Hispanic expat. You guys can follow my channel. I haven't been too active on it, but I will be pretty soon. So to answer what Passport Blueprint was saying about well the video that you shared is, and I believe I had explained it to Passport Blueprint, was that basically the way Mexico, so there's this whole like misconception right now that Mexico is requiring a visa. It's just like how they stated, there's 60 plus countries I believe that do require a visa.
69.
69 countries.
Hmm.
The reason with that, well, first of all, for Americans, right? I don't know who else is watching, but for Americans, if you're flying, so there's two scenarios that could happen when you're traveling into Mexico. Um, you could have a scenario where you're flying from the northeast, the Midwest. Maybe you're not close to the southwest where the border is, right? If you're flying from the US, right, from an international airport into Mexico, from my understanding is that you will at some point go through the immigration there in Mexico to fill out what's called an FMM. I can't remember or I can't recall what it stands for, but I know it's like a federal migration document that is filled out for extranjeros or for foreigners who come into Mexico. So in a typical scenario, an American, Canadian, maybe a European comes into Mexico, they will be provided that form if they fly directly into Mexico. It kind of depends where you fly into the country. Um, if it's through Mexico City, um, from my experience, I mean, I don't remember having to fill out one. This
I
was
didn't fill one out.
Yeah, so that yeah, and so that has to do a lot with the discretion of the basically the immigration agent or the immigration officer. It really depends.
I heard
Um,
I heard Guadalajara you have to.
it's been years since I've
Yeah.
flown to Guadalajara, or it's been a couple years.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe now they're doing that. It's been for me, it's been about 6, 7 years since I last kind of passed to Guadalajara.
Hmm.
So it just kind of depends. I guess now in the last few months they've been doing that. Or sorry, not the last few months, last few years. It really depends where you go in the country. That's kind of my biggest thing. I think they say like when you go to Cancun, maybe to like the Riviera Maya, where it's more touristy because they have a tourist tax now, from my understanding. From what
Mhm.
I last saw, you guys can do your own research. That's just from what I've heard. Maybe they're a little more stringent as far as with the FMM form. Um, but so that's one scenario, right? And again, if you're not given that, if so, if you're not, if you're just vacationing to Mexico, maybe for a week, 2 weeks, I want to say no more than 2 weeks. I necessarily don't think you have to worry too much about the FMM form. It's when you extend your stay, when you stay for a lot longer than, say, a month. I think that's where you really have to take into consideration how you got into the country and if they stamp it or not. Um, so one scenario, as I mentioned previously, or just right now, was when you fly into Mexico. Now, what usually happens, or what is pretty common, especially in the area where I'm from, in Southern California, that includes Arizona, New Mexico, maybe Texas as well, is if you fly within Mexico from the states. Like if you're coming from the states, right, and say, um, say you basically are flying. I'm just gonna throw an example, right? You're flying out of Tijuana, Mexicali, Ciudad Juarez, all these border towns, right, into the interior of Mexico. It also depends in the airport if they ask for that form or not, because I have traveled within Mexico a lot more before I got my dual citizenship. So I have not tested out yet as far as how that is coming in as a Mexican into the country. It pretty much, for me in my case, it would probably be the same. Um, it would definitely be the same. It just depends on, again, Mexico's kind of laissez-faire in the sense of like how they do things. So if they're not putting that FMM form to you, then you simply don't fill it out. But if you're somebody that's coming into the country, say for like more than 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe you're a digital nomad, maybe you have months off and you're gonna explore Mexico. I wouldn't worry too much. I would just be mindful of how long you're staying in the country, especially with the visa being that they give you, I believe, 180 days, which is up to 6 months. But then again, it really depends on the discretion of some of these agents that um they could give you. I think I've heard you passport blueprint saying from other stories that some people have gone in like 1 month, some people may have gone in 2 or 3 months. It really
Yeah,
depends. It really
yeah, I've heard the
depends.
stories about them. They may stamp it for, they may give you X amount of months. I mean, X amount of days or X amount of weeks, and some will just give you up until the time you're supposed to be leaving.
Yeah,
Exactly. So the flexibility and stuff like that of when you're going to be able to stay is going to lie with that immigration officer.
yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, for the visa, like for anybody that's looking into Mexico to visit, um do not believe, and I know people have mentioned it, do not believe the myth or the lie that there's a visa requirement, because you can go into the country as an American. You just simply have to, you know, you basically, if they ask you, like, hey, like, if you're coming from a foreign country, America, like the US or Canada, um, just fill out the form and just keep a copy of that in your passport. Simple as that. Because I have been in the travel space. I've been hearing that, Mexico's been now requires a visa and not and all that. It's not necessarily true. Mexico has always been visa free, from my understanding, from those 69 countries, right? So but it depends on, like in Passport Blueprints case, what he decides to do. like in his case where now he's gotten his residency there, then that kind of puts you in a different category as far as like you're going to get received for the time being if you're a temporary resident.
Mhm.
Um, and hopefully by then, eventually, once you get your permanent residency in Mexico, from my understanding, is that you will um, I believe that permanent residency is for life. So meaning that it's for life in the sense that you just have to simply renew it, but it cannot be taken away from you. Um, specifically in the country of Mexico.
Yeah. Basically, if you guys give me a second, I just want to show you something. So yeah, I have my residency card. Um, this is my card right here.
Okay. Oh, so slightly different.
Yeah, this is lighter. I think it's different colors for different years. Um,
I'll go ahead and show you mine. My um. Oh, nice.
so if I show this, they may give me a little bit of a leeway.
Mhm.
So I have to go there in January to get this renewed for the 3 year.
Mm.
Um, and then I'll be good. Now, for those who are going to go through this process, you're going to go to the consulate and they're going to give you something that looks like this. This
Mm.
is how the visa is going to look if you're going for your residency.
Mm.
Put
Okay.
that in your passport. And then you got to go and get you got 6 months to go over and get the card.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how that works.
Wow.
And if you guys haven't gotten global entry, I highly recommend you get global entry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get that card. This is mine.
Ah.
Global entry to get in. It's very
I have mine too,
super
Corey.
convenient. Super convenient.
Yeah.
Super convenient to get that. I'm telling y'all. And just to give you guys a little trick on that, when you put your application, send your fees off, and they just do that check, they'll send you an email saying that you are eligible. They will send you a letter saying that you're eligible, and they will set you up for your appointment to do your interview. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go take an international trip. You're going to come back to one of the many ports of entry to do your interview. As soon as you come back in, you run through customs, tell them, I want to do my interview. And they'll do your interview and get you squared away instead of wait. Because the wait time right now, if you wait on them, it's about 1.5 years to 2 years.
Yeah.
That's how long the wait is. So once you get that letter saying you're eligible and they sent you for your interview, go take a trip and then come back. Have all your documentations with you about that letter because you're going to need a number off of that.
Hmm.
So that's important. That kind of helped me up a little bit. But
Yeah.
get that number so you can present it so they can look it up, all the other stuff. But you'll be fine and you'll get your card in about 3 to 4 weeks after that interview. But anyway, it just makes your international traveling so much convenient. I got to get TSA pre-check because that was the only thing I don't have, and I got to get that card going. So that's
Do, if you don't mind me, Pastor Rubin, something that I did learn once I came back from Paraguay, and I got a re-clarification on it was that because I have mine, but mine is the Century, which is this one right here.
yeah.
So, basically, this century, right? The century card again. There's it's a huge acronym: Secure Entry Nexus something program.
Hmm.
It's for land crossing between U.S. and Mexico, but they explained to me that you can actually use this card or this century for global entry as well, which I had no clue about because I was already looking into global entry, like to actually apply for it. But they say it's pretty much the equivalent of this one. So all you have to do is present it with your passport when you're coming from an international flight into the states. So
Yeah,
that was really good to know.
that's
Um,
cool. That's good to
um,
know. I didn't know that.
yeah, that was really good because I was gonna get myself a global entry, but I was like, but I couldn't get it on the options there, and then I went ahead and did a phone call, and they explained that they're like, no, you actually don't need it. You can choose when you're gonna renew to reapply to Century or to apply directly to global entry. Either way, they're both basically interusable, you
Yeah,
know. So, but that's really good to know. For all those that are looking to global entry, TSA pre-check, all that stuff. Again, like Passport Blueprint says, makes your life 100% smoother, easier. Whether you're doing the land border crossing, you're going through TSA, all that stuff.
it
They,
is.
they actually treat you better, believe it or not. They
Oh
do. They
yeah,
treat you.
it is. Because when
Yeah.
I came back from Mexico, I was going up to the machine, and the guy, one of the CBP officer, he just came up to me with an iPad. He just took my picture and he said, "Okay, you set to go."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's it? Yeah,
Yeah.
you good?
Yeah.
Easy peasy." I was
the
just like,
the the
"Damn."
card the cards when you go through the land entries, the port of entries, like between US and Mexico, you can actually just like literally like you could point your card, your Century card, to one of the scanners right before you get to the officer.
Mhm.
And even just scanning it alone, sometimes they already pick it up and you don't even need to you don't need to physically give it to them. They see that you have it and they'll just let you pass through. But I
Easy.
mean, the only thing they really, I've had times, most of the time they just ask you simply where you're going. I say I'm going back home. Where's home? I tell them where that's at, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
easy travel stuff, guys. Really easy stuff, man. I mean, a little bit of money, and that's because I got tired of just standing on those customs line. I got
yeah,
tired. Even though some of them moved, it was just a pain in the ass just standing over there. Your bags are heavy, and you're moving your bags. I just done with it.
yeah,
Just done. So I got this, and I'm gonna get TSA pre-check, get that taken care of, and but anyway, you have your you have your residency for Paraguay.
yeah. I was gonna actually show you. So I wanted to go ahead and show to the audience,
Sure, go ahead.
uh, especially for the audience for on Passport Blueprints channel. So
Now, just before you do that, I just wanted you guys to understand that we got these. These are easy peasy, what we call pocket residencies, because we don't have to live in these countries. We just
Mhm.
have.
Very true. I mean, in my case, it would be different for a lot of those who are looking into like Passport Blueprint's case. He's getting residency. In my hand, I actually took it upon my own hands to get my citizenship with Mexico. There's services out there. There's plenty of other companies that do services. You're literally just paying extra for them to do the work for you when you can do it yourself, which
Mhm.
is what I did. But anyways, I'll go ahead and show you guys. So this is actually my Mexican passport. I'll go ahead and show you guys. So
And also get one of these holders.
yes,
They're very convenient, dude. Super convenient.
yeah, I got mine for my US one right here. So
Yeah.
it's lifesaver. But basically, this is my US. I mean, sorry, my Mexican passport. This I had to get it, or I was able to get it after I got my naturalized birth certificate, or in Mexico they call it acta de nacimiento, which that literally took about 3 weeks, like about a month. The only thing, and I've gotten some inquiries in the last 2 years when I did an interview on another YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and say who it is. It's Jose Aratiaga. You guys can check on his channel. I did an interview with him. I think about, I want to say now it's been about almost 2 years, a year and a half. Actually, a little over 2 years that I did that interview with him, and or 2 years. Anyways, I did that interview and I basically shared my story, how I got it, my ties to the country as far as travel. Obviously, I'm born and raised in the States, but Mexico, I've been to many parts of Mexico and there's still more that I would want to see down the road. But anyways, this is the passport that I got. One of the things that I got firsthand was the acta, right? The birth certificate. After you do that, you basically want to get your voting card. This is for anybody that's getting their citizenship or any permanent resident that eventually decides to get citizenship. One of the biggest IDs that you can get is what's called an INE. So this is basically, INE stands for Instituto Nacional Electoral, National Electoral Institute. It's basically like your voting card, but you can use this for everything. As far as identification, opening a bank account, if you want to get property, any of that good stuff, or just however you want to use it, it's basically that. And with that, I was able to get my passport. Now, you know, I'm in the position where I was able to do that. Um, I'm the only one in the family that's done that, right? That is a dual citizen as far as, you know, first generation, right? Now, um, now the
Now,
one
it's
that,
not, now not to cut you off, but it's going to be a little different for people who are not of Mexican nationality.
yes,
You're going to have a different path. Like my
yeah,
path has been the economic sovereignty,
mhm,
where I have to prove a certain amount of income per month. It varies. Right now, I can't really tell you because the way the dollar is, the U.S.
yeah,
dollar, because it fluctuates. The U.S. dollar is strong, then Mexican dollar is going to be weak. But if the U.S. dollar is weak, then Mexican dollar is going to be a little stronger. So it's going to flip flop.
yeah,
So, and then sometimes it's also dependent on which consulate you go to in the United States, because you have to start
yes,
that journey here in the United States by getting that document that I showed you earlier on your
yeah,
passport.
yeah,
And you got to show 6 months worth of how much you made per month. Um, so you're going to have to check with that local Mexican consulate, not the U.S. consulate, the Mexican consulate,
yeah,
to, to see if you qualify to get that visa. And you got 6 months to go over to Mexico and get that card. And like
yeah,
we said, use these services, these relocation services that help you get through all that paperwork, because that
yeah,
paperwork is a pain in the ass.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was a
man.
nightmare for me, and I'm glad I got with these people. I ended up with this whole process cost me, I want to say about $700.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so not including flight and hotel and all that other stuff.
Okay.
But about 700.
Wow.
Wait, hold up. Maybe a bit. I got to double check that. It may be a. It was about under 1,000. I'm gonna just say.
Okay.
Okay, about under 1,000 to do all this stuff. Okay, and I got to go back over there to renew this for, because the first one they're going to give you is 1 year.
Yeah.
Then they're going to give you 3 years, and on your third year you can apply for permanent residency.
Hmm.
So, so that's the process you're going to have to go through, unless you unless you get married or something like that to a Mexican. Then it's a little different. There's different ways of getting it, but the way
Yeah.
I'm going about it, it's going to be more of the long haul type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm also going to take a trip. I'm going to plan a trip to Mexico, maybe a weekender or something like that, just to show I do have interest in wanting to come to the country. So I got to plan another trip. Even though the lady told me that I didn't have to do it, I am going to do it.
Yeah.
And I recommend just to do it just to show that you do have interest. So
Yeah.
I'll do that. And then when I get my 3 year, I'll do a couple of trips in between there just to show proof that I've been back and forth to Mexico. And that will help me with my case of getting permanent residency. And you don't really need an address. The address you can use is a hotel address.
Mm,
So
yeah. Yeah. Mexico is very flexible in that sense. Um, Again, I don't think there is no stay requirement
no,
like in
there's no
many
state
other countries.
requirements, just like Paraguay.
Very similar to Paraguay, which hence that's why I chose Paraguay. Um, and yeah, and like you said, passport blueprint. I think the temporary residency for Mexico is 3 years,
First one
right?
is 1 year. Second time you renew it, it'll be 3 years. And
Three
then
years.
on that third year, from what my representative told me, you can apply for your permanent.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's in about 4 years, give or take.
Kind of like you're going into your 5th year, you can get your permanent residency.
Okay, so it's a little bit longer than
Yeah, it's a longer
Paraguay.
process.
Yeah, which Mexico in general, I mean, for anybody, right? Whether that's for retirement, for investing, for ease of travel,
Hmm.
I'll always put Mexico on the highest because I mean, it's still when you look at it in the map, it's still in North America, so
Yeah,
it's not a far flight as compared to when I was out in Paraguay,
yeah.
which that was a lot farther. But Mexico is great, is a great option for that, definitely, because there's different climates, different cities, different communities, different.
Aaron, we lost you. Something's up with his internet. Aaron, you're on mute. I can unmute him. Aaron, you got to unmute yourself. While he fixes up his technical issues, keep something in mind, guys. Don't sleep on Mexico. Don't. I know everybody's talking about Thailand, Brazil, and DR and stuff. Don't sleep on Mexico because I will tell you, strong passport, very strong passport. Um, Apex privileges, which is the what this Apex stands for. Apex is an association that deals with businesses, business trade across different countries, where you can if you have a business in another country, and there's only 19 countries that's under this. Um, U.S. is kind of a member, but not a full member of this Apex thing. Let me look at it real quick. Hold up a second, guys. Let's see. Yeah, let's see. Oh, it stands for the Asian Pacific Economic Corporation passport. Very, very strong. Um, has a lot of advantages. There's only 19 countries in there. That means basically, if you was to be a citizen of Mexico and you get that passport will give you access to Russia if you want to do business in Russia. Very strong passport. The U.S. basically, like I said, it's you have to go through a whole bunch of other stuff, hoops with them, with Homeland Security, getting their Apex card and stuff like that. But basically, when you go to an airport doing business stuff, there you go, Aaron.
Sorry about that. My
Mhm.
bad.
Okay, no problem.
I had a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, what I was saying to them is that the Mexican passport is very strong. Um, You have Apex privileges, which is the Asian Pacific Economics Corporation. There's only 19 countries you can do that with.
Yeah.
That means you have access to different countries like Thailand, Russia, I believe India. There's a whole slew, 19 countries where you go to those countries, you don't stand on the line with these folks.
Yeah.
You get diplomatic privilege, basically. You go to the express lane and your ass is taken care of when you going over there to deal with business. That's how
Yeah.
powerful that passport is. And the US don't even have that privilege because they're not a full member of Apex.
Yeah. Yeah. I would even argue too. I mean, I haven't personally I haven't traveled yet with my Mexican passport.
Hmm.
Um, I do plan to at some point very soon.
Hmm.
But I just from what I've heard or from what has been shared as far as traveling with that passport is that your experience is a lot different when entering countries. Um, especially if you're entering like certain countries that are in Latin America or maybe out in like as you said, maybe certain parts of Asia. I think I want to say Mexico has access to the Schengen area, the Schengen zone as well. So a lot of Mexicans, believe it or not, which I know I've seen personally, they travel to Mexico, they travel to Europe, sorry, just like as if they would any other nationality,
Hmm.
and they travel with ease on a Mexican passport.
I just looked it up. It's not 19, it's now 21. And the countries are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, China, Hong Kong, China, whatever I don't know why they got it jacked up like it is, but
Yeah,
Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Peru, Philippines, Russia, Singapore, China, Taipei, Thailand, and Vietnam. Those are your access with these. With
so
that.
meaning that there's no you don't have an ETA that's required, or from my understanding, or
No,
wow,
no, you
okay,
just in.
wow, okay, yeah,
But it
because
has
I
to be
know
for
that
business. It has to be for business purposes.
okay, yeah,
Have to be for business purposes. That's a very strong passport
I didn't,
economically.
I was not even aware of those details specifically, to
Yeah,
be honest.
that's a pretty. If you're a business type of person that's doing business overseas, that is a pretty powerful passport.
Yeah, very much.
Hmm. Very much. Not to mention the passport ranks number 15 on the passport index. You got visa free travel to a lot of countries,
Yeah,
a ton of countries.
yeah. I mean, if you throw, I mean, I know this because I've looked it up. I know if you throw in like even countries like Russia, I think Venezuela or Iran, which I mean, I would highly reconsider those places to begin with. But for those who like decide to go there, a Mexican passport, you pretty much go in either visa free. I think Venezuela's like visa free,
Hmm.
and I think Iran and believe Iran and what's the other country I just mentioned?
For you guys that's into Persian chicks, yeah, you become a citizen of Mexico and get that passport. Yeah, you can go to Iran.
Yeah, yeah. So it gives you access to a lot of places. Um, Trying to think where else. I know that there's even a lot more ease. Like right now for Brazil, if I wanted to go to Brazil, I can actually go in without a visa as a Mexican, rather than with the U.S. passport. Because I know there's that issue right now with the U.S. and Brazil not on the same. They're not on the same reciprocity as far as
Yeah.
their visas
Hmm.
goes.
And
So
Shang, thanks for putting that up. That's the Hensley Passport Index. You can get that app on your Google Store or Apple Store. The Hensley Passport Index. Thanks to my mod for being on it.
yeah,
Um, and also with that Hensley Index, you can scan your passport into that app. So keep that in mind too. Yeah, but um, Yeah, what was I about to say?
in
Yeah,
regards
so
to
with yeah, they're
Mexico.
not right now the reciprocities, there's going to be a lot of changes with that. There's a lot of ETAs being put up. I just found out there's an ETA being Israel is using the ETA system now. Um, electronic travel authorization. Saudi, I think they're going to start doing it too, or if they already implement it. I have to do some more research, but I'm coming across videos that they're putting those things out. Now, with um, getting dual citizenship in Mexico, you have to keep in mind that diplomatically, if you just diplomatic situations, your diplomatic is going to be limited because you belong to both countries now. So
Yeah,
that's the negative side of having dual citizenship for that
yeah,
passport, which for me, I'm more for, well, just get the residency, and we'll take it from there because you never know where alliances will crumble.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's the thing. Um, you know, that's one thing you're gonna have to consider. We were once friends with Iran way back in the day, and look where we're at now.
yeah,
So keep that in mind. Um, but getting into Mexico, I think it's a great option. You got a lot of people talking about moving to Thailand is because it's cheap, and it's to me here is cheap. Mexico is cheap.
yeah,
I mean, it's very inexpensive. Inexpensive. Depending on what city you're going to, that's going to matter. I've heard Tulum, Meridia, a couple other places, very affordable,
yeah.
especially if you're living off of fixed income.
Hmm.
We're starting to see a growing um, older expat community
Hmm.
that is living on fixed income, and they're living their life down in Mexico, which is great. Going back and forth to the United States, which does happen because
Yeah.
you're gonna have to fly back and forth. It's gonna be inexpensive as compared to going to Thailand
Hmm.
because those tickets in Thailand are expensive, and
Yeah.
you have to keep those in consideration. I'm not knocking Thailand whatsoever. Thailand is a place I still want to go visit. Heard a lot of great things about Thailand,
Hmm.
but you have to weigh your options at right now. What's going to be a lot more practical and affordability, which is
Yeah.
why another reason why I got Mexico and stuff. Paraguay, um, I'm still thinking about, and the reason why I'm still thinking about Paraguay is because of traveling down there is going to be kind of. I mean, is it really that difficult to travel down to Paraguay because it doesn't have a lot of international flights?
Yeah, yeah. There's only about two, from my understanding. I think there's two routes that are direct flights to Paraguay, which is in Florida. I think Miami,
Mhm.
down in Florida, and I believe in Madrid in Spain. Those are pretty much the two only destinations that you could fly directly into the capital. Everywhere else, from my understanding, is you pretty much have to have a layover in Panama, or depending on the other airlines you fly with, could be like in Chile or in Sao Paulo, and then to Asuncion, which is not convenient because of the layover and the time that it takes to get there. Um,
Mhm.
I will say that's a downside for sure. It's not like it's not the kind of place where you can just hop on a flight and get there in about 2 hours. It's quite a long flight, to be honest.
How many hours is it?
If you're flying, so if you're flying from anywhere from the states, in my case, I flew from the West Coast. Um, if you're flying anywhere from the states, you're gonna go through Panama. From the states to Panama, that's easily about a 6 hour flight on average. Quite a long flight, 6 hours. Do a layover there, depending on how long it is. Could be as little as 2 hours, sometimes 8 hours, 10 hours, depending. And then from there, from Panama to Paraguay, it's another 6 hours, 6and a half hours.
So for all that, you might as well make it a multi-trip. You know,
Yeah, which is what we did in essence, because we got to see the Iguazu Falls on the Brazilian crossing the Brazilian border. Um, my dad and I, and
mhm.
then we were able to see
No, what I
basically
mean
a
by
bit of Panama.
multi-trip is like if you fly from the United States to Paraguay, you might as well spend like 2 or 3 days in. I mean, flying from the United States to Panama, you might as well spend a couple of days in Panama and then continue your trip on to Paraguay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what I meant.
yeah. What I did learn, believe it or not, and this was something we didn't know until we flew back, was that because Panama has they have pretty particular visa structure that they have, like visa rules. So if your layover is over 12 hours, you technically have to like re-enter within the airport into Panama. Um, that being said, because our layover was about 20 hours
Ooh.
when we were flying back to the States, we actually had to well, we were fortunate enough. I was lucky that I had a friend of mine from my hometown that was traveling to Panama out of all places, and so we kind of used his hotel as a proof of uh, we used it as a proof of our hotel of where we were gonna stay.
Hmm.
So if your layover is more than 12 hours, then your best bet is finding a hotel, finding somewhere to stay for the night, and then go on your flight. If your layover is less than 12 hours, you're pretty much fine. But you're just gonna be in the airport in Panama.
And then
Um,
also, if you're depending on what time you land, that's another thing. So you may
yeah,
want to get a hotel.
yeah,
Um, if you're landing at night and your next flight ain't until morning, I would just make it a multi-trip. Just make it like a 2 day, 2 days in Panama and then
yeah,
fly on to Asuncion.
yeah, yeah. I think some people tend to do that. Um, because I guess, well, Panama's it's such a international airport
Hmm.
where you have all the flights coming in between North and South America,
Yeah,
and then even some coming as far as from Europe. Um, but that is pretty much the hub of where all passengers meet when they're flying throughout North and South America.
yeah.
So
But
yeah,
as far as lifestyle in Asuncion or Paraguay in general, it's what type of pace we're looking at.
type of pace.
Yeah.
So I was out there for about three total of like 3 weeks. Um, I have yet to cover it on my channel, but basically what I've described Asuncion in Paraguay, um, it's how do I say this? Well, I will start off to say that it's actually from my experience, and I'm pretty sure other people have said, it's one of the quietest capital cities I've been to. Like one of the most tranquil capital cities. Because when you're out in Latin America, if you're in especially like in Mexico, right? Mexico's known to be pretty noisy. Depending on where you go and stuff. Same down in Paraguay. There's traffic and all, but and music. The pace though is a lot slower from my understanding. From what people have said about when they travel to like, say they go to Argentina, they go to Buenos Aires, they go to Brazil, out in Rio, Sao Paulo, or maybe they go to Colombia. But Paraguay is one of those countries that it's just very chill. um, and as far as Asuncion being the capital city, it's a very like there's areas where there's places to go out and the biggest mall there being Paseo La Galeria, and then Shopping del Sol, which is another one close by. But as far as the pace, it's very, very calm. I think one of the I think it was on a Sunday, one of the days that I think we were resting, myself, my dad, and I. Um, I recall like going out. We went out for a walk. I think we went to the store. We went to go eat, and it was just very, very calm. On a Sunday, right? Because Sunday is pretty much the day where, people go to church or people are just, at home. Obviously, during the week, there's tends to be more movement if it's on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but it's not a 24-hour,
Hustle and
24/7.
bustle.
Yeah, it's not that much of a hustle and bustle. Maybe when you get to like the historic center, like the downtown part of the country, there you tend to find more movement, be considering that it's where the government palaces and all the government buildings are, which is where I went to some of those areas when I was doing my residency.
Hmm.
But you're not gonna really find like you'll find the hustle and bustle, but it's not gonna be in your face everywhere you go throughout the capital, if not the whole country.
Now,
So
how long did the process take you to go, doing this in terms of getting your residency? How long was the process?
so I had started. I want to say I had started back like in October. I think October, November of last year.
Hmm.
Um, so what you need when you do your residency out there is you need to get three things. One being your passport from your home country, preferably the one you're born in. You preferably the one that you're born in, or that you've been naturalized in, right? But you need your passport. You need your birth certificate, and you need an FBI background check for those who are American. Um, and those two, the birth certificate and an FBI background check, those two documents have to be apostilled. Um, Also, another thing for those who are either married or divorced, same thing. You would actually need to provide that as well, right?
Now, for those that don't know, apostille is not notarized. It's not a
Yeah,
notarized document. What
yeah,
you have to do for your birth certificates, each state has their own Department of State. What you do is, in that Department of State, you can get your copy of your birth certificate. You
yeah,
can also request it to have it apostille, which is a separate document that goes along with that birth certificate. Same thing with the FBI record. When you get
yeah,
it, you can send it to the U.S. Department of State.
yeah.
They have a section that will apostille that document. Um, on my next video, what I'll do is I'll give you the links and stuff like that
Hmm.
of the apostille records. Matter of fact, I may do a video on that as well. And you
Yeah,
can attach, you can go get your records apostille because a lot of countries do that. Even like for I believe Spain and Portugal, if you're trying to get citizenship or trying to get residency over there, they want records apostille because it's an agreement with various countries that in order to say these records are legit, we want it apostille. Then that's just a separate document. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but
no,
these are the places where you have to go get that. So it's considered a little bit of a longer process if you're going to do something like this. So I would just go about if you're making plans on doing this, give yourself a lot more extra time to
yeah,
do it. So because you get these records of apostille and stuff.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
would
Very
just get
true.
the I would just do the getting the records of apostille first before you book any trips.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's been other sources have stated, right, like people that have gone in Paraguay, and Paraguay is just one country, right? But say Paraguay, they go for their residency and they show up without any documents, or they show up with several documents missing, for that matter.
Yeah.
So I made sure I did my homework and I got everything in hand before I even booked the flight. Um, and even then, I still had one more thing that was required of me in case they were going to ask, which was my employment at the time, like an employee verification letter. Turns
Hmm.
out I still went ahead and got that, but I I did not need it according to my lawyer at the time. So, but once you have those three things, um, you get them apostilled again, like Passport Blueprint said. Apostilling is just basically It's a verification of you using a document for another country, whether that's a college degree, a death certificate, even credentials, birth certificates, background checks, you name it, all that stuff. So
Want to welcome my man, Bucky Buck. Buck Rogers in the 21st and a half century. Buck Travels. What's going
Salute to
on,
the
Buck?
panel. Salute to the panel. Passport Blueprint. Thanks for having me on. A very, very good conversation. I was listening in the background while I was in the store, man. Very eye dropping gems. Definitely. This is
Yeah,
something that
so
is
yeah, I can't
encouraged.
I did this show with you in mind because I know you've been asking a lot about the
Yeah.
Mexican travel and stuff like that. So you don't really need it, but you have to but you
If
may
you're
have to
flying
fill that
in.
FMM form depending on which city you're going to.
Okay. If I'm going to Guadalajara, do I have to fill it out?
You
Like,
probably will, but the airlines will give you that form, or
okay.
you'll get that form when you get there. I did throw a link into the description of where you can fill it out. Um, if you're going to go there, it's in the description of this show. So if you want to click on the links, you can do that. If you're going to go to Guadalajara, it's like I said, a lot of this is going to be depending on the immigration agent. I didn't need it for Mexico City, so
yeah.
Okay. So that's good. So you said the airlines is gonna give you. So while you're in the air, they're gonna make you fill in. Because I know they do that in.
or when you're on the ground or whatever, you should be able to get that form. But if you want to do
Okay.
it ahead of time, this is
Okay.
my personal recommendation. If you're going to Mexico, just fill it out for the heck of it, just so you can
Okay.
cover
Yeah.
your yeah.
Okay. That's good. Because I was thinking it was gonna be more complicated process. Like, you got some countries like Ghana, for example. They make you do the whole. You got to mail in your whole passport. They look at it for the next 30 days, then they finally give you approval or not. Some countries is complicated like that, just getting the visas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I just want, so that's why it's like I just don't really understand why these countries they do this, like especially if you got tourists, that's a lot of tourism money coming in. It's like you don't
yeah,
want to make it complicated. And countries like Ghana, for example, they're losing out on a lot of tourism money. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's their country. Like they let them, run how they wanted to run. Cause like it's yeah, man. So let me ask you this. I don't know if I might have mixed this Hispanic travel Hispanic expat.
Mhm.
Uh, what made you fall in love with Paraguay? Was it the cost of living? Was it the women? Was the weather, or what?
What I did think of mostly was the prices and the cost of living.
Okay,
And another thing primarily was the the ease of the residency.
okay.
Because a lot of countries right now, they're starting to get they're starting to get really like tight with
Mm-hmm.
who's coming in and who's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And certain places have a certain animosity towards tourists. I didn't see that in Paraguay. And on top of that, Paraguay being it's not really a small country. I mean, I have said before it is small. I think it's the size. eh, don't quote me on it. I want to say it's the size of like California as far as land mass.
Okay.
Because it's right in the heart. The name it has. It's the heart of South America. So it's basically like where the aquifer um where it's located. It's under like one of the biggest aquifers in the world. So they're actually they're a pretty powerful country as far as resources when you compare it. Yeah, I would even say compare it to Brazil, because they sell and export a lot of their electricity from their hydro dams there in Paraguay to Brazil, because they just have so much water. They have a lot of agricultural land. It's a very green country. It's fertile for people that want to get into like the agricultural business. It's a territorial tax country. It has a territorial tax system. Whereas when you
which is
compare it to
good.
like Brazil, yeah, which is, I mean, that's super good, because when you compare it to somewhere like Brazil, where I think their tax rate is, don't quote me on it, I think it's close to 20-30%. Like for people that they decide to move there, live there, retire there, they're paying taxes heavily into that country. Whereas in Paraguay, they function on a territorial tax system. So all your foreign earned source income, whether that's passive income, crypto, if you got a digital income coming in, your pension, whatever foreign income it is, you're not gonna get it taxed by the country. The
Same with
only time,
Mexico. Same with Mexico's
same with
territorial.
Mexico too. Same
But
with
as an
Mexico.
American, you already have to pay taxes even if you're outside the states, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that's good that they don't do it because some countries they'll even tax you for even bringing that U.S. dollar, so you kind of getting taxed twice.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, if we're gonna use a extreme example, I've even heard of like Spain, where if you become like a resident, right, or like a tax resident of some sort, you're gonna pay a lot in taxes in a country like Spain or even Portugal. Um, and that's because they're pretty much under the EU. They get a lot of foreign investment. I mean, I don't know about now, but they usually do get a lot of wealthy people, foreign investment. They're kind of they have a sort of socialist government structure where they pay a lot into taxes into like government, healthcare, education, and all that stuff. And it's a pretty developed country, although I will argue that their wages are not high compared to like the US, because there is sort of that issue in Spain, and using Spain as an example, where
Hmm.
a lot of wages that they have per month. I mean, they're getting paid like 50,000 or 1,500 euros a month for these like very professional jobs.
Yeah.
yeah,
And also, Buck, keep in mind, like with Mexico, as long as you don't have a Mexican bank account, you're not going to get taxed. And as long as you're not a citizen, you don't get taxed. So that's why, you know, that's one of the benefits of just having just the residency. Now,
Yeah,
if you want citizenship, that's cool. You can go do that and stuff like that. If that's your goal. I
yeah,
don't knock anybody who wants to get a second citizenship or get a second passport. But on a financial end of it, it's very beneficial just residency, permanent residency. That way you can avoid the taxes.
yeah,
Because if you get like in Brazil, you get a digital nomad visa, you're a tax-paying citizen. You still got to pay taxes on all your foreign stuff.
yes. And another thing too is that it's a digital nomad visa, meaning that it's temporary,
Yeah,
as compared to like U passport blueprint. You have a residency where, I mean, you have to show economic solvency, but it's
yeah,
not necessarily, it doesn't have an expiration date, is what I'm trying to say. Same thing with Paraguay. Like my temporary residency right now with Paraguay is for 2 years. Um, it's recommended that I at least visit the country maybe 2 or 3 times before those 2 years are up, and by then I can renew it to a permanent residency, which is good for 10 years. And once it's permanent, it's good for 10 years. You just renew it. They say under law that once you have it permanent, you can visit like at least once every 3 years.
yeah.
But it's recommended, depending on what your goals are. If you're gonna visit every year or every other year, however, it works for you.
Even the guy who wrote the book, or Rich Man, Poor Man, he said, something was to happen in the United States, you got 72 hours to get to the next location to be safe. So for
Robert
me,
Kiyosaki.
Robert Kiyosaki, there you go,
Yeah.
72 hours. So for me, it's going to be Mexico. It's going to be the quickest one because I'm in Phoenix. That's a 2.5 hour flight. And if I got to go through the border, so be
Yeah.
it. As long as I get on that other side, I'm good.
Another thing, believe it or not, also that I chose Paraguay is kind of that. I mean, aside from all the good stuff it has, the food, the people, like culture, you know, making contacts, networking, relationships, all that stuff, is that where it's situated in like it's one of the few countries right now in the world. Just take a moment, just think right now. like what's happened in the last month, what you guys have seen on on the news, India and Pakistan, the Middle East, Africa, like there's all these global tensions going on and kind of sparks of instability happening, but you don't really hear anything coming from Paraguay, right?
You don't hear nothing.
You don't hear nothing coming from Paraguay.
Yeah, you know what? You don't even hear anything coming from Latin America in terms of wars, like country here going against war against another country. Have you guys noticed? Like in terms of war, when was the last time you heard about wars in Latin America?
The only
It's
conflict I've heard of was between the oil thing with Venezuela and Guyana.
Yeah,
But was
That's
that
the
a
only.
war conflict? I'm talking about
Yeah.
conflict right now in terms of what's going on with Israel and Palestine,
No, no, you
and
don't
not on
hear
that
that.
level.
I'm
Not on
comparing
that
something to
level. No,
like
not on that.
Rwanda, like remember the Rwanda genocide and all that? Is that something? Have you guys hear anything that happens in Latin America? I will give this to Latin America one thing: they know how to keep things peace. It's like
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
with the Middle East and Africa. There's always you don't know what's going on in the country. That could war can occur, a civil war can occur, and you as an expat, if you caught in the middle of that, it can be a while. It can be troubling. So when I
yeah,
look for a place, here's the thing, guys. I, when I look for a place, first I look for peace. Does the country has a history of peace? Does
yeah,
the country has laws and order? That's one of the first things I look for. Number two, I look for cost of living.
yeah.
Cost of living definitely because here in the states, cost of living is high. Number three,
Very.
I'm looking at the weather aspect. I'm not going somewhere where it has an Arctic kind of weather. It got to be some kind of tropical weather.
Mhm.
Then finally, number four is going to be the women. So the women is going to be the icing on cake, but it's not the
Mhm.
main focus.
Okay, that's
Like I said,
cool.
like I said, it's like women are everywhere in this world. You can
Yeah,
find them everywhere. So it's like I like the whole passport bros and all that. These dudes, I do not prioritize women because I know for a fact I can get women anywhere in the world if I want to. I just
Yeah.
need one. Here's the thing. I just need one. That's it. But the three top things I look forward to is cost of living, weather, and like civility, like how peaceful the country is.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's what I'm looking for. So yeah, what I was about to say. So you did say that, but how's the dating in Paraguay? Like
um, I would say. I
nightlife,
mean,
dating
I
overall.
let's just say I didn't partake in that, right? I will disclose that I'm in a relationship, right?
Okay,
But I will say from um like my friend Ryan or just other expat friends that we came across, um from what we hear, it's like you have to definitely put time on the ground for that kind of thing. Um, the women are pretty receptive. People are receptive in general, especially if they're curious as to know like where you're from, if you speak Spanish. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's maybe not gonna be the same level as you find like the other surrounding countries in South America, but I mean, yeah, there's beautiful women there in Paraguay. Um, Again, it just depends on what's your taste. I mean, if it's you're not gonna really find a lot of like mulatto or like kind of like morenas really. I mean, you might, but it's definitely more of a kind of Latina, more Spanish European looking women that you're gonna find. Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's a little more conservative as a whole, as a country. I mean, yeah, there's places to go out. There's like there's an area we actually went to, but we went on a Sunday night. We didn't go like during the weekend or anything. Area called Carmelitas, and that was actually a really nice area. And they say that like during the high season or when it's like Friday night, Saturday night. People come out. There's beautiful women. Um, Same thing. I think another area that people go to is San Bernardino, which I didn't go to myself, but it's across the capital city, across the lake that's near there,
Hmm.
and people go there during the summer months, um, which is actually the summer months over there is our winter months here in the states.
Yeah.
And a lot of people from nearby countries they go
Okay.
there as well.
Okay. Before you answer this question, I want to jump over there. He's there right now. He went back to Paraguay, Ronan, because this is one of our. I'm one of the mods for this guy, Style
Mm,
King Travels, and
okay.
he was in Paraguay about a month or so ago. Then he went to Colombia. I think what you're saying, Ronan, he went back to Paraguay.
Yeah.
If he went back, yeah, because he was even given an offer to get residency over there. He met up with some people and he was thinking about that. He
Yeah.
told me he had a pretty good time over there. But shooting back to Shing Shang's question, what's the safety aspect in Paraguay?
Oof, that really, really good question from is that Xing Sheng?
Yeah.
Really good question. That's probably one of the biggest reasons I chose Paraguay. Mexico is safe. Mexico's safe as a whole, right? There's regions I will say in Mexico that are they're it's getting worse. There's a lot of cartel and a lot of increase in crime, right? Paraguay, you guys can look this up. Paraguay, they recently just came out. The U.S. Department of State, the State Department, they actually recently Paraguay, including Argentina, which I'd say it's maybe a little skewed, or I'm not sure because I haven't been to Argentina, but they put Paraguay as a level one country. They put it as level one, so meaning that the most that you're gonna come across with crime is maybe it's gonna be, I want to say, pickpocketing, purse snatching, and maybe like scams. That's it. That's it. Because myself, that I was there for 3 weeks, it was really calm. There was parts of the parts of town that we walked through at night, like when we were coming from, going out for a restaurant or when we had a drink and stuff. And just I never felt that I was in danger at any point in time, ever. Not once. In fact, even I would even argue, even the Uber drivers, never once we felt like the Uber driver was gonna take advantage of us. The Uber driver was gonna like pull a gun on us, pull a knife on us. None of that. None whatsoever. I'll even share here that my friend Ryan, he actually went ahead and it was our first night that we were out. We went to a concert and we were out. We went to the concert. We had drinks and stuff. We had a good time. And he ended up getting a taxi, or sorry, a taxi. He ended up getting an Uber back to his place, and he actually lost his phone, and he left the phone with his he left the phone with the Uber driver that same night. So he was pretty much panicking because it was his like American phone. And surprisingly enough, I tried to reach out to the driver through the Uber app, didn't work, wasn't able to reach him. All in all, my friend was able to reach out to the Uber driver through Facebook. And it was the following day in the evening where he was able to reach out to him. I guess he was able to get his number. He contacted him. He went to the guy's house. My friend went to the guy's house, and the guy actually had the phone like with him, like waiting for him, because he picked it up and he realized, oh, one of my passengers, left his phone here.
Mhm.
And so my friend went ahead and gave him like $20 for that, all that, basically as a token of appreciation.
Mhm.
So the locals do look out for you. They do look out for you if you ask like, hey, where's the safest area? like what should I do, how should I go move around and stuff. It's like anywhere else in general. You have to practice common sense and be self-aware of where you're going, but it's a safe country.
Yeah. And I just pulled up the travel advisory for Paraguay. It is at a level one, exercise normal precautions. There are some areas that are you risk of crime, which is everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
And actually,
so,
those areas, by the way, a lot of those departments or those areas of the country are on they're on the eastern part of the country, and they're specifically bordered with Brazil. So,
oh,
and
okay.
that's because of the influx of the they call the factions, I guess, the Brazilian gangs that kind of, you know, there's movement there on the borders.
And police
Of the
presence over there is weak over there as well, the states.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm reading down those portions over there. They're level two. Criminal groups are active in these areas, smuggling weapons, drugs, and other goods along the northeastern
yeah.
border of Paraguay with Brazil. Police presence in these areas are weak due to the risk. U.S. government employees working in Paraguay must attain special authorization to travel to those particular locations.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of the people that visit Paraguay or that come from internationally into Paraguay, they're
Hmm.
gonna go through the international airport in Asuncion. And Asuncion is on the western part of Paraguay, bordered right there with Argentina.
Hmm.
So they're not, you know, Asuncion is obviously where everybody comes, like where everybody first gets to. Once
Hmm.
you're in the country, you can take, you know, domestic flights within, or take buses like to Concepcion, Encarnacion, Ciudad del Este, which is right on the border with Brazil.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So,
And I actually have my my to show proof. This was my residency that I obtained.
yeah, but you're getting the what you call
Cedula.
it, cedula. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. Eventually, at some point, once I do go back,
Now, do you still have to do the two trips going over there?
there, that's been a bit kind of skewed, because if I would have stayed another week, I would have not had to do the second trip technically. But because I was there for 3 weeks and I didn't have enough time to when go ahead and do the cedula, um, I mean, technically now I'll have to do a trip back because there's some changes that are going on now with as far as with the cedula goes, because I guess now the new cedulas have a chip in it,
Hmm.
whereas the ones before didn't. So technically, yes, there you do have to do the two trips, but that's if you're gonna that's if your stay is like short. Like if you're going for 2 weeks and you do your paperwork, right? You only get your basically what I got was the residencia precaria, which is kind of basically in other words like temporary residency. And then I would come around, I don't know, maybe the following year or a couple months later, and then go and apply for the cedula. But you can actually do it all in one trip if you're there for about same time frame. If you're there for about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, the most.
So, if you're there for a month, you can get all that knocked out in one trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you work with a lawyer. I don't know about doing it independently,
No, I
but
wouldn't do it independently.
no.
I don't recommend you guys do any of that stuff independently because it gets really funky. And
Yeah,
if you don't understand this stuff, you can be wasting a lot of money.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And even myself, I speak the language, so it's like because I am somewhat fluent in Spanish. Even then, just having the lawyer was a big help because there's just so many intricacies in how the residency works, and the fact that in the past year and in the past several years, a lot more people have gone into Paraguay just for the residency. Aside from visiting for tourism, there's been an uptick and an increase in a lot of foreigners and a lot of extranjeros getting into Paraguay to apply for residency. A lot of Germans, a lot of specifically Germans, because Paraguay has a history with Germans, uh, with World War II back in the 19th century when a lot of the Mennonites found their way into South America because there's a huge Mennonite community out in the northern part of Paraguay, which is the Chaco region.
Hmm.
So a lot of Germans, a lot of Brazilians, Uruguayans, Argentinos, um, not too many Americans that I came across. There was a few, just not in the same numbers as Europeans for some reason. A lot of Europeans, interestingly enough. That I would include like Germans, maybe even French people. Um, and I think because they know what they're going through as far as them being under the EU and stuff like that, and having sort of a safe haven or a second home that they reside in
Hmm.
on their time off or however their lifestyle is. Um, but yeah, there's like more. I think by the time I come back, or by the time I go back and visit, there's definitely going to be a lot. There's going to be some changes, and definitely some uptick in maybe tourism and maybe those applying for residency. So,
So
but when
Buck,
I
you
the
plan, Buck, you plan on getting your residency card somewhere?
Um, so right now I'm looking at, Singapore is one of the places I was looking at. The reason why I said Singapore because for number one, safety.
Hmm.
Number two, they're kind of at peace at all times. Like they're kind of neutral.
Mhm.
Like when it comes to like a lot of geopolitical things. What is the other one? Cost of living is slightly lower than the states, but you get what you pay for over there. It's like the quality is gonna be there, and it's right there in Southeast Asia. So if you want to go to Malaysia, you
Mhm.
can go to Malaysia. Or Malaysia is another country I'm thinking because Malaysia fits all the box.
Yeah.
Malaysia is very very cheap. They speak English as their
Mhm.
official language. Um, what is it? Very very cheap English, and the weather is gonna be. I like tropical weather.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that's one of the places I was considering, like Malaysia or Singapore.
Hmm.
Like I said, for me, safety is one of the things I always look for. I don't want to go to a place where my head is always on a swivel. Like I
Mhm.
want to go to a place where I kind of relax, just enjoy my time there, like
Yeah.
so I was looking at Singapore and Malaysia, and the infrastructure in those two countries is top notch. I'm telling you guys. Like I was just looking at
Yeah.
but granted, I
Mhm.
only been to in part of that kind of region. I only been to Japan. Japan is good and all that, but I feel like it's more. How would I say? It's you're not getting more bang for your buck.
You got to spend a lot of
Um.
time in Japan
Yeah.
where you can get
Yeah. And
that
and I was
stuff.
following this American dude. He was a YouTuber. I don't know if you guys heard about it. His name is Nomad Capitalist. Have you guys heard
Oh
about
yeah,
him?
we know him. Yeah, we know
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. He went extreme though. He denounced his American citizenship to gain Singaporean citizenship. Now I wouldn't do that. I would have two citizenships, American citizenship and Singaporean,
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
definitely I think the next, how would I say, the next American dream or whatever is gonna be you having another citizenship somewhere in
Yeah.
this world. That's gonna be. I swear that's gonna be the next American dream. You just gotta figure a way. How would I say to generate cash flow while you over there?
Hmm.
So either you got something online going, you're working for online company. So that's that's probably one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of guys is like when they want to move somewhere, the only thing that's preventing them from moving somewhere is just having that online job or having some kind of cash flow that can, that they can get permanently on
Yeah.
a permit basis. So far, the military bros they cracked the code because a lot of them they collect that pension.
Hmm.
and that pension is for life. So a lot of them just go to those Southeast Asia countries or some of these other places in the world, and they just live there. So I think that's the code. If
Mhm. But
you
also, you're
know,
gonna have to do some research, um,
hmm
with Singapore and stuff like that, because some countries, as we're talking about, getting these residency cards and citizenship, some countries do have restrictions
Hmm.
on who can get them and who can't. That's why, for me personally, if I was you, I would look at Paraguay.
Yeah.
That's just I mean, you can do what you want, and but do your research and do your due diligence on the countries you want to go to, because sometimes the reason why we talk about Mexico and we talk about Paraguay is because when you look at getting residency permits and stuff like that, you usually have to make a large investment to the country, either through stocks or buying real estate. That
You
is
gotta be
that is
loaded.
that
You
is a
gotta be loaded.
six-figure. Yeah.
Even believe it or not, a Canadian friend of ours when we were out in Paraguay, he got his residency as well. And he's from Canada. I think he looked into Costa Rica. I believe
Yeah.
Costa he had visited like Costa Rica and Nicaragua, but one of those two countries he looked into getting a residency. And I think for him to have qualified, he had to like at the time, this was like a few years ago, he had to invest up front like $250,000 US into property, and just for him to get residency in a Latin American country. Um, and so, in my case with Paraguay, you don't need to show economic solvency. I didn't have to show any bank statements or anything or
Hmm.
any investment upfront. I could, because there's a certain program where you can. I think it's like 70,000 US, and you can
Yeah.
get permanent residency, but you have to invest it in a business and employ like five locals, five Paraguayans, and
Yeah.
basically show like in a span of 10 years you invested $70,000 into a company, or you create a company, something like that. But if you don't have that kind of money nor that kind of time and energy, then the temporary residency is the way to go. Um, but I think with Singapore, I mean, I think Singapore, it's pretty. I think it's a great option too. I mean, I don't know as far as residency because they're pretty selective, from my understanding. I don't think just anybody can, because you have to provide a lot of paperwork, a lot of proof, a lot of documentation. Um, because a lot of these countries, they do ask you quite a bit as far as what's required of you, to even be considered and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Ronan, I'm gonna look into the Filipino thing, because that's kind of interesting to look at. 1,500 in the Filipino bank and a steady income is all required. That sounds cool. So that's
Yeah.
another option you can look at, Buck, since you still want to be in that area. Um,
yeah. So like I
so,
said, it's like the reason why I mentioned Singapore and Malaysia, those two places I'm considering, because both places speak English. English is the official language over there. Um,
hold up a
what
second.
is it?
Ronan, is that Philip? If that is that $1,500, is that just for the vets, or is that just that can be also for citizens? Go ahead, Buck.
Yeah. So also, like they said, one of the ways you can become a Malaysian citizenship over there is by marrying a local. That's the fast pace over there. If you're gonna become
Yeah.
a Malaysian citizenship, you have to marry a local, and you got, I think it's like 2 3 years after that, then you can get your Malaysian citizenship, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
expedited process. So I'm looking into that. Then also look into Singapore. Although Singapore is more developed than Malaysia, Malaysia is cheaper but less developed. But
Hmm.
Singapore is like very, very high developed and all that. But man, I don't know if you guys have been to Asia, but it's like I just feel safe over
Hmm.
there. I've been to Japan, and it's like,
Hmm.
because like when I'm in, as much as I love Latin America, the food, the culture, the women, all that is excellent. but it's just that whole. I know Paraguay is the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Paraguay is safe.
Yeah.
Uruguay is safe. Chile is safe for the most part. Argentina, same thing. Those southern Latin American countries are safe. But I'm just saying overall, Asia is like it has the safety, the low cost living, and it's like so it's yeah.
Yeah, I
So
get it.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it, and but the reason why we kind of, like I said, we're pushing more Mexico and Paraguay is because these are what we call pocket residencies. It's easy to get. You don't have to um, have any stay over there. You're not required to stay over there. You just have it, just like what I have. I
Mhm.
don't live in Mexico, but I have the residency card.
Yeah.
The cost of getting it is very low. I mean, your process, Aaron, was maybe what, two
Uh,
grand, a little over two
yeah.
grand with all the.
Yeah, I was well with a lawyer. If I would have done it on my own, um, like my Canadian friend that he did it on his own, but he had a lot more time on his hands. He was able to be there for several weeks or months, I believe.
Mhm.
Immigration costs alone, it's like $500 US. I with a lawyer and actually with a very well connected lawyer was able to do it for about 2 grand.
Yeah, so it's
Um,
just the fact that it's very easy to get it. It's not all these hoops you're going to have to go through.
yeah,
You have it, you're a resident, you're good to go, easy peasy.
yeah,
Whereas with most of the other countries, um, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money
yeah,
to get just the residency. Um, that's the thing. And I know there's another way you can do it. Um, but I have to do some more investigation before I put that country out there. And I don't want to put that country out there because I like the country and I don't want to ruin it.
yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
even want to ruin the one we're talking about. But
yeah,
we're just saying
Nah,
that,
yeah. I
yeah,
just
yeah, go ahead, bro.
I
Go ahead,
just
Zach.
I just don't think places like Singapore and Malaysia is ever going to be ruined because that's a long flight over there.
Oh, I know Singapore, um,
Singapore is very strict. Here's the thing: a lot of guys don't understand.
extremely strict.
If they see you acting up weird and all that, yeah, they just do not play, bro. They're gonna lock you up. They're just gonna throw you. There's a reason why Singapore is one of the most. Matter of fact, it's the safest country in the world. They do not play at all. It's like so all these passport pookies and all that when they behaving wrong and all that, they go to Singapore, they're gonna get corrected. It's like it's not same for Saudi Arabia and those
yeah,
Gulf Arab countries. Like they don't play around. I just don't
yeah,
think places like Singapore is ever gonna be, kind of like the DR, but but I just like I said, Singapore just I'm looking at videos right now. I'm literally got walking videos on my TV right now. Of
Yeah,
Singapore walking videos, and I'm like, damn, this place is developed as hell, bro.
yeah,
it
So
is.
like,
It went through a lot of
and it's
changes, and they have had a
mhm,
lot of in the past terrorism that they really
mhm.
cleaned up. So
They really clean it up. And that's what I like about it. It's like they're really proactive, like when it comes to doing shit, and it's like I heard it's one of the least corrupt countries in the world, so um I heard so I was watching documentary. Singapore, they said back in the 1960s, Singapore was as poor as it was actually with the most poorest country in the world. People were living in huts, like literally. I'm just telling you, people were literally living in huts. It was poor, Guess what? A dictator came to power. He was a good dictator. There's bad dictators and there's good dictators. So he was a good dictator that was in office for years. What he did, one of the first things he did to his country, he started investing in the education of the country. He started investing in his own people. He started investing in his own infrastructure. What he started also doing is he started executing people in politics for corruption, which
yeah,
made the country more operate more official. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it made more the country, like within the government, operate more efficient because he got rid of the corrupt officials. So he started getting rid of them. Like, start, so it's like right now, 60 years later, Singapore is one of the most developed country in the world. It's just a lot of Singaporeans, they credit that man for the, it's just, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why I just want to be in an atmosphere where I can walking around in the middle of the night. Let's just say if I want to go to the gas station, get something to eat without nothing happening to me. And I think Singapore fits that box. Singapore and also Malaysia
Yeah.
is, but I would check out Paraguay because that's also on my bucket list. I want to check it out. I stayed there for a couple of weeks.
Hmm.
I want to go over there Paraguay. Then I want to do Singapore and Malaysia at the same time and see, because I like, because you see what I'm saying? Because like right now, like I gotta put boots on the ground just to see. I might like Paraguay. Who knows? Like after I
Yeah.
visit all three of them, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So so I just gotta visit all three of them. Keep my options open.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's a good thing to do if you can, check out those places and stuff and finally get a plan B because like I said, with things going on in the United States, and we don't know how crazy this is going to go, even with the next government that's going to come in or next administration. You always want to have a plan B because sometimes we get fed up and it's like, I had enough of this.
Yeah.
So right now, that's why I kind of shift focused right now and just focusing on, getting visas and getting jobs overseas and just focusing on, just going to those places so that way we can find our peace and quiet and all this other stuff. But that's where you need to go and whatever's going to make you happy. And if Singapore's it's it. But
Yeah.
you should go and check it out and kind of make your decision and stuff like that. Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
eventually get down to Paraguay and check it out
yeah,
and
yeah.
see how it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but once I get the 3 year temp for Mexico, then I'll may venture down there to Paraguay and
Yeah.
get that taken care of.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah, you definitely because at the stage right now, it's definitely time to start getting into this type of thing because
It's
like a
only
lot
gonna
of
get harder.
yeah, because it's going to get harder eventually, and they're gonna and with these little pookies go out here jumping to these places, and they're going to places where you're not even going to get the correct benefits. You're not going to get territorial taxes.
yeah,
You're not going to get that really inexpensive living because I checked out the condos in Paraguay. They're very, very inexpensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very
Yeah.
inexpensive.
There was some. In fact, eventually I'm gonna put it on my channel. Um, I know at some point because I have a lot of footage that we took, but there was a development my dad and I we visited, and we actually happened to run across we met the broker of this. They call inmobiliario, which is basically like a real estate office,
Mhm.
which was right next to our Airbnb where we were staying at. But it was several blocks close to Paseo La Galeria, which is the nicest mall in the country. And we met with the broker. We were just saying, hey, like we just want to get a tour, like what kind of developments are going on. He's like, let me show you. Took us about 10 minutes out of the city center. We're building this 6-story apartment building about 10 minutes away from where all the action is, or where the nice malls and where the World Trade Center of Paraguay is at. And the Airbnb, which is still in construction to this day, I think they're probably going to finish by the end of the year. It was right in front, very close to a rugby and football field, international tennis club, a paddle club, and right next to it is where they're going to build a plaza. There was apartment buildings going for about $48,000 US.
What?
38, yes, 38 square meters, $48,000 starting, and some that were going about 50 to 60,000
Give me
US.
information on that, please.
Yes, I'll send that to you. Passport Blueprint, and that is just 10 minutes away from the city center. There's more development that my friend has told me about. My friend Ryan. There's more development that's happening a little bit outside of the capital, like in the other satellite cities like Capiatá, San Lorenzo, these other little small, not really small, but these big sort of small cities outside of the capital that you wouldn't even believe. I think there's even departamentos that are going for way less, even
Mhm.
like 20, 30K. Um, there was even a house with land in the city of Capiatá that I remember being shown to that was around 30K, $35,000 US. Obviously, it comes with its challenges because you're a little bit farther out, and it's an area that's more local, so it's not like you know you can't just set up shop if you don't know exactly what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
but
I would like to
that just gives you
Mhm.
the drastic, you know, purchasing power. And not just that, but I mean, you get you definitely get more for your dollar's worth. Even if it's just like a second home, or vacation home, Airbnb type of model.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're 2 hours in. I'm gonna wrap it up because I got another live I gotta go and I'm gonna grab something to eat. But any last words? We'll start with Buck.
Yeah, guys, just keep your options open, man. This world is beautiful. This world is interesting. Just keep another option outside the U.S. Me personally, I'm looking at several places. Definitely Singapore and Malaysia because those places speak English and also lower cost of living and lower crime rate.
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna. As a matter of fact, I think this might be my next. I know I said I was gonna go to Guadalajara, but I think I might postpone that and actually go to Singapore. And for me, this trip is gonna be more of a I just want to scope out Singapore and Malaysia just to see how it is.
Hmm.
Cause like when that's that way I can be like, hey, I can go back to that place and cause definitely want to go out there. I'm literally watching videos right now, but this place is beautiful, man. Cause like it literally looks like New York City, but with with more of a tropical vibe. It's like a tropical New York City.
Mm.
They have a plants all around, and it's like I'm looking at the streets right now. It's very very clean. Sidewalks clean. People dress very professional. So it's like so that's the kind of environment where I kind of want to be at. Where I'm like, okay, it's safe. It's lower cost of living, maybe potentially jobs. Singapore. So Singapore is a very developed country, so I might have to look into that. Are there more hiring more? I would have to see like skilled workers, like uh in the space I'm looking for. So because usually in this space we don't go to other countries to work over there. We bring the U.S. dollar, but Singapore is the exception to the rule where you can actually make as much money
Yeah.
as you would in the States. Germany is another one you pointed out, Passport Blueprint.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, yeah. So yeah, I would look into that job aspect of Singapore. Um, maybe maybe if I can find something over there like as a skilled worker. Because some of these countries they need skilled workers. They need important skilled workers. So if you have some kind of skilled profession, like if you have some kind of certification, like Passport Blueprint, I know you do in the cybersecurity space, so that you would easily qualify in some of these places. So definitely gonna look. Matter of fact, I'm gonna after this call, I'm gonna jump off and actually start researching Singapore's wedges. So that way it's like okay, if I find out that hey they make about the same as the US or maybe just slightly lower, I would definitely consider it 100%.
Hmm.
Matter of fact, if I find out that's the case, then I might start putting applications and just see what I can do. Just yeah, because the U.S. Oh man, I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this. Man, it's wow. My bad. That got me off guard. This man, it's beautiful. This area because I'm watching a 4K walking videos of the area. It's
Okay.
yeah, it's very very beautiful. Yeah, so I'm and it is, but and I'm seeing diversity also. It's like you'll see a lot of Indians, you'll see a lot of Asians,
Hmm.
some Africans also over there. You'll see some Europeans. I'm seeing like a diversity. It's not just a homogeneous place like Japan. So it's like there's a lot variety of diversity to it. So like so that would be good for the food aspect. So it's good to have that option. But yeah, currently I'm looking at Singapore or Malaysia. I will give Paraguay a chance. I will see for myself if I do like it. And the only thing that's gonna hold me back about Paraguay is that I'm not a Spanish speaker, bro. If I'm being honest, my Spanish sucks, which is why I said Malaysia and Singapore because they speak English out there. Like right now, I'm looking at the street signs, and it's all in English, bro. You see what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singapore is like
But
I
it's
go over
also good
there.
that you know the other languages there too, because
Yeah,
they also speak Chinese, Mandarin, stuff like that. So it's
yeah,
also
yeah, yeah.
good.
They speak other languages, but English is the official language over there because Singapore got colonized by the British. So same
Yeah.
for Malaysia. So I think English is the official language. Then they got those other languages like Hindi. They got a large Indian community. Then they got Chinese. But
Hmm.
over there, the Chinese over there, they're so assimilated. So the culture, you'll see them speaking English instead of Chinese because some of them have been Singaporean for a
Hmm.
very long time. You talking about like third generation Chinese. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's one of the first places I'm looking into. And I just don't think it's gonna be a passport key, bro, heaven place. I just don't think they're gonna go out there like that. It's like it's yeah, but if I'm being because they don't it
Yeah.
doesn't have no red light district passport. That's to put it that way. It doesn't have a big red light district as
Hmm.
Brazil or Colombia or DR.
Hmm.
So that's gonna keep a lot of the pookies and unwanted travelers because so
Yeah.
for me to be honest, the less red light district places, the better for me. I actually enjoy it like that. Like
Okay. All right. That's
like
cool.
in terms of living and all that, I actually prefer it that way because like I said earlier, like I'm not even because the women is not even in my top three of when I'm considering places. It's not even in my top three.
Okay.
Number one is like I said, cost of living.
Mhm.
Two is weather. Three is safety. Like that's the most top three. Then number four, the women is gonna be the icing on the cake. So
All right.
yeah, man. I'll land my plane over there. I appreciate you, Passport Blueprint, for having me on.
Always glad to have you,
And
man.
letting me. You really you're doing good thing with your channel. It's a good motivation, bro. Good topics. I learned so much. You drop so much hidden gems. Definitely keep doing it. And Hispanic expat, man, you dropped some gems today, man. Definitely. Drop his channel in the chat so I can subscribe to him. If he got a YouTube page.
Yeah. Is my
Yeah.
I got any of my mods in there? You can drop his
Yeah,
channel in there.
you can find it there. It's as it states. It's I had other names that I tried to play with, but I ended up choosing the Hispanic expat. I haven't been active on it the
Okay.
Okay.
last 6 months, but I'll be posting there pretty soon. So
Yeah.
All right. Final
Yeah.
words, Aaron.
just on my end, really just just keep exploring. Listen to Passport Blueprint, or myself, or any other specific YouTubers or individuals. Shout out to my friend Ryan, my Best Life Paraguay. Definitely look for one country, maybe two countries where, however it fits your goals, your priorities, right? If it's for job opportunities, if it's for retirement, for lower cost of living, for safety. Definitely do your research, but definitely my thing that I've always preached is it's better to start now than to have started uh it's better to have started yesterday than to start tomorrow, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Because these kinds of things, like Passport Blueprint says, it's gonna get harder and harder eventually. There are gonna be changes, hyperinflation, geopolitical tensions, layoffs. That's kind of where I stand when it comes to this travel space. It's more of that. The whole dating aspect is really kind of like just, that's just kind of the icing on the cake. I mean, that's not my priority. It's more of how to set yourself and position yourself to be in a position where you have ease of travel, networking, safety, taxes, um, and just having a place to go. Because if things get serious in the coming years, coming months, but especially these coming years, I mean, you're gonna wish you had it, at least a residency. So that's my last words. So.
All right. And thank you, man. Move you out. And for you guys, thank you guys for showing up. This is probably one of my longest lives. Thanks, Aaron, the Hispanic expat, for coming on. Thanks, Buck, for dropping in. Um, some wonderful information we got. I'm gonna keep dropping these type of gems on you guys. We're gonna do visas, I think, next week because there's a lot of new stuff on the visa thing coming on, and a lot of different countries is popping in some new visas. So we're gonna hit that. But basically, like I said, right now, focus should be on people crashing out overseas and playing follow the leader and going to this country. You got to do your research on these countries that you're going to because we talked a lot about territorial taxes and safety and a whole bunch of other stuff. You have to put those in perspective because if you go to these countries and things happen and a whole bunch of other stuff, it's a waste of time, money, and it's gonna be a major disappointment. So do your research and do your due diligence very, very carefully about which country you want to get your residency card at, or where you want to get your citizenship, or where you want to migrate to, because it's a very big decision and it can be very costly and you don't want to be disappointed. So do your research and make sure it's a good fit for you. So without further ado, thanks guys. I appreciate you guys. For you guys coming in late, check the playback. We got some great information in the playback. So catch you guys next week. Bye.